today's Cabinet meeting. This is not a public meeting, but a meeting the public can attend. Thank you. I'm Councillor Glyn Jones, Deputy Mayor of Doncaster, and I would like to welcome you all to today's meeting. Before we commence proceedings, I would like to outline the domestic arrangements for the meeting. We are not expecting a fire practice today. If the fire alarm sounds, please leave the building. This meeting will be recorded and published on the Council's website. By entering the Council chamber, you are all accepting that you will be recorded and your images will be retained and broadcast by the Council. If anyone intends to record today's meeting, please ensure that this does not disturb the conduct of the meeting. Please ensure that your mobile phones are switched to silent mode. Thank you. I will now commence the meeting. Item 1, apologies for absence. I've received apologies from the Mayor of Doncaster, Mayor Ros Jones, and I have also received apologies for Councillor Rachel Blake. Are there any more apologies? Nope, thank you. Item 2, exclusion of the public and press. There are no items on the agenda where the public and press are to be excluded. Is that agreed? Item 3, public statements and questions. We have no public questions or statements. Item 4, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest, please? No. If there was a yes, then we'd ask you to fill the appropriate form in. Item 5, decision records from the meeting held on the 13th of March. These have previously been circulated and are for noting only. Is that agreed? Okay. Moving on to item 6, acceptance of funding for delivery of the local neighbourhood transport complementary programme. I will invite Councillor Joe Blackham, Cabinet Member for Highways, Infrastructure and Enforcement, to introduce the report. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Chair. Acceptance of the grant funding for delivery of the local and neighbourhood transport complementary programme, previously known as a local transport plan. Today I present to Cabinet the decision to accept nearly £7 million of funding for the delivery of the local and neighbourhood transport complementary programme. This funding is not new monies. It was known previously as the local transport plan, integrated transport block, and is often just referred to as the local transport plan or LTP programme. The funding now forms part of the City Region Sustainable Transport Settlement funded by the Department for Transport, formerly an annual settlement, the LNTCP. It is now a 5-year programme at just over 1.391 million per annum. This is comparable to previous annual programme models, as the grant agreement required is for a 5-year settlement. The sum of £6,958,555 is now a key decision and must be made by Cabinet. The programme is a reactive budget and allows the Council to respond to small requests and issues which come up within the financial year. The programme is broken down into 5 strategic investment themes, including safer roads, sustainable choices, network management, major schemes and cycling. In Doncaster, we have £150 million of highway works awaiting funding for 23-24. Government gave us circa £5 million, which is roughly the same as we received back in 2010. Meaning in real terms, maintenance funding for the local roads in the UK has halved since 2006. Doncaster and councils across the country need more funding for highways maintenance. Potholes are a blight on all our roads and increased costs for motorists. As a council, we want to be able to keep all our highways in good condition. However, 14 years of reductions in funding from central government to local repair, road repair budgets have left many local authorities facing their biggest ever annual pothole repair backlog. As part of the cancellation of HS2 Phase 2, Government announced 8.3 billion additional funding for highways repairs. This is of course welcome. However, it must be noted that this funding is currently promised over a period of 11 years. This will not bring about any real improvements in roads across the country for many years to come. I ask Cabinet to support the report and its recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. I will now ask Cabinet members to indicate by raising their hand if they wish to ask any questions in relation to this item. Yes, Phil.
Thanks, Chair. Of course, I welcome the report and obviously welcome accepting the funding with the reservations that Councillor Blackham identified. The real terms cut in funding for road maintenance is causing problems for local authorities all over the country. I think Doncaster does remarkably well to keep the state of our roads as good as they are, given the financial problems that we've encountered year on year, as Joe says, dating back to 2010. Also, though, in this respect, I welcome the fact that as a ward councillor, often they're often very modest transport things that people want sorting out. They're often improved signage. Can we have some work done to improve that junction, make something a little bit safer? And they're often very small and modest schemes. And because this authority covers so many villages, 88 settlements, and all the roads and land in between, we actually often, they are very micro problems that are needing to be addressed. And this funding at least manages to address a lot of those small, piecemeal, minor road safety or network improvement problems. And so to that extent, I think the money will be well spent. And there's a lot of detail in the report to illustrate that. But I do share Councillor Blackham's concerns. For the long term, we definitely need improved funding.
Thank you, Phil. I totally agree with that statement. Any more questions from Cabinet? No. Okay, I will now read out the recommendations within the report that Cabinet A accepts local and neighbourhood transport complementary programme from Simca in the sum of £6,958,555 and item B, give delegated authority to the section 151 officer and the director of place in consultation with the portfolio holder for highways, infrastructure and enforcement to enter into grant agreement with Simca, and C, give delegated authority to the director of place in consultation with the portfolio holder for highways, infrastructure and enforcement to deliver the programme. Is that moved? Seconded? Thank you. The recommendations are now agreed, and this concludes the items of business on today's agenda, and I would like to thank everyone for their attendance and input, and we'll now close the meeting. Thank you.